Hi everybody, it's Miss Tina from the Menenborough Library, and today we're going to do a fun experiment with things that we already have at home. So, this experiment is called the Dancing Rice Experiment. Now, if you don't have rice at home right now, you could also use raisins or craisins. You just want something that's a little bit heavy, but not too heavy. What you're going to need for this experiment is a clear glass so you can see the experiment happening. A measuring cup. You're going to need to measure out a cup. Right now I have a half cup here that I'll just use 2 times because I couldn't find the cup one right now. A teaspoon. This one's again a half teaspoon. Couldn't find the normal teaspoon one right now. A normal spoon. Some baking soda. Some vinegar. And of course, water. Oh, and most importantly, our rice or our craisins or whatever you want to have dance. We have the food coloring here too because you can add food coloring into it just to make it a little bit cooler of an experiment. So we're going to try with that today. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is we want to put a cup of water into our container here. So like I said, Miss Tina's using a half cup measuring cup. So we'll have to do 2 of them. This part you might need a grown-up to do so the water doesn't go everywhere. 1. 2, and there we have our cup of water. So we don't need our water anymore. Now, in our water, we're going to grab a teaspoon of baking soda. Again, using a half teaspoon, so we need to do 2. You might need to open the box a little bit more to be able to get to it. There we go. So we got 1/2 and 1 whole teaspoon. Alright, so what we're going to do is we have to mix our baking soda into our water. You'll notice it'll make it kind of a cloudy white as it's mixing. You want to make sure that you don't really see any big pieces left. I think that's good and mixed. Now, we're going to take a little bit of rice. There's no exact measurement. Just grab like a little sprinkle handful. And we're going to sprinkle it in. Now, you'll notice the rice is going to the bottom, which is perfectly fine. That's actually what we want to do. If for some reason your rice is staying at the top of your water, then you might want to use craisins or raisins because they're a little bit heavier, because we want them to sink down there. We want what we put in to be denser and therefore go onto the bottom than the water. Otherwise, there's no room for it to dance. So, at this point, I think is when we add our food coloring. So I'm going to just add a little bit of blue and a little bit of green because those are kind of 2 of my favorite colors. And next, we will be adding our vinegar. So, for our vinegar, we're going to add a tablespoon of vinegar. So, if you have a tablespoon measurer, you can use that. If you don't and you only have the teaspoon one, 3 teaspoons make 1 tablespoon. So you can just do 3 of your teaspoons. So I have a tablespoon one here, so we're going to do a tablespoon of vinegar. Vinegar is a little bit stinky smelling, but there's a lot of really cool experiments we can do with it, so we let it be stinky. Right, and then we're gonna put that down in, and you'll see, so the vinegar and the baking soda go together, and you see the rice kind of is coming up and down and dancing around there. That's because when the baking soda and the vinegar mix together, they create what's called carbon dioxide, which is a gas. And what it's doing is that gas is, you can see the little bubbles. I think you can see the little bubbles on the rice. Those little bubbles are full of the carbon dioxide, and they're attaching to the rice and bringing it up. And then once it gets to the top, it's releasing it and falling back down. So you can kind of see, it's just kind of dancing around in there. We might have put a little bit too much rice in this time, but you can see it going up and down, and our rice is dancing. I'll let you watch that dancing rice for a little bit. Like I said, you can do it with craisins, raisins. You could do a mix and watch them all dance together. That would be fun. But once again, it's just a quick little experiment you can do with things you already have at home. And you can try it over and over again. This one actually, it's still got, that rice is still dancing up and down and up and down. You can see it, them kind of like dart up. That vinegar and that vinegar and baking soda created a lot of that carbon dioxide gas. Now, a fun thing about carbon dioxide is actually what we also breathe. So when we breathe in, we breathe in oxygen, and when we breathe out carbon dioxide. That's kind of cool. Vinegar and baking soda make the same thing that our bodies do. And that rice is still dancing up and down. So, enjoy your dancing rice, and thanks for joining us today for this science experiment. Have a good day.